Back again for another video. So, on today's topic, I don't know exactly what I want to talk about, but I know what I want to talk about, if that makes sense. It just came to me, and I literally have like 15 minutes before class. But I didn't want this inertia to drop. So I decided to hit the record button and make this video. But I want to discuss sex. And I want to talk about it in a way that hopefully expands your logic behind it as a man. And I want to talk about it from my point of view and how I've done things. And while I'm still in the perfection phases of how I handle sex, I still operate cheaply very differently than men do, generally speaking. As you know, things are very upside down in our communities, or in our community as far as Black people goes. I was actually listening to a video the other day that had BGS on, and he was talking to, I believe it was Sister George, and they were discussing the dynamics between Black men and women. And then the topic of sex came up. I believe actually Pimp God covered this as well. I haven't listened to his video. I just got to hear the beginning of it pretty much, and that was it. So I don't know what he has to say about it per se. And I didn't listen to the full discussion between BGS and Sister George either. But nonetheless, I have my own personal insight as usual, just given the discussion and the topic. But anyways, one thing that I noticed about this is that the scenario keeps playing over and over again. No matter what topic we talk about, no matter what thing we discuss, especially as Black men to Black women, or vice versa, that dynamic is always there. And that dynamic is bottom up instead of top down. And what I mean by bottom up is that Black men are going bottom up to women instead of top down to women. And what I specifically mean by bottom up and top down is where your authority stands. Black men often speak to Black women and other women from a "I hope she follows" point of view, or "I want her to follow" point of view, or "let's see if she follows" point of view. When Black women speak to Black men, "I'm not going to follow unless." You see what I'm saying? It's the top down, bottom up thing going there, but it's backwards, because Black women should already come into the picture, especially if she's chosen that man, saying, "I'm going to follow. I hope that I can make it." But it's not that way. In other communities, it is. The women come to the men and they automatically assume, that they're going to be able to meet all of his needs, and they hope and pray that they can, that he doesn't ask and require anything of them that's too difficult. But nonetheless, they're going to give it their all and everything that they have. And I'm not necessarily saying that Black women don't adopt this mindset at some point, but what I'm saying is they don't come in with that. Black men, we come in with doubting if she's going to follow you. And this may sound a little bit counterintuitive because of the way that like I said, I'm sitting in my car. But the way that I explained it, but I mean, really, once again, it fits that model over and over and over and over again. It's not having the expectation of the women while the women have the expectation of the men. That is the model. Generally speaking, in other communities, men know exactly what the women are going to do because they were raised and cultivated that way. And I may be beating a dead horse here, but hear me out. Once again, we're talking about sex, all right? But in our community, it's not that way. We have no idea what the women are supposed to do. Largely, and I'm not going to say every man specifically, but largely, we have no idea. We don't have a social rule book of how women are supposed to behave, and we don't even have consequences for a woman's misbehavior generally across the board, because these women have been running wild specifically for a long time. And a lot of, critics would say that this is out of black man's hands, but I disagree. I disagree because of the structure. BGS said something that's very important in that small tidbit of conversation that I did here. He said that it would not work without the men. While we're living in a power structure that is governed by a society that views us as lower than human in many cases, that doesn't relieve us of power. That doesn't relieve us of authority. There's no man on earth that can tell another man without his own discretion and his own willingness to abide by that what he can and cannot do. Literally, this is what the world's wars were fought over: ideological views, religion, political. Simply one nation telling another what they can and cannot do. People died for this. Pretty much, one country said, you shouldn't do that. We disagree with that, and we're going to put sanctions on you. And another country said, oh yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do, and how I want to do it. What are you going to do about it? And the other country said, we're going to war. And we'll figure this out in the meantime. We'll see who comes out on top. That's what usually happens. But my thing, especially with sex, is that's kind of where it all starts. I mean, sure, we could say that, the wars are not, they're not directly behind sex. We can definitely say that. But we built societies, right? And we built rules for these societies, and we built infrastructure for these societies. Why? Why did men do all this stuff? And why are we fighting? And who are we fighting for? Right? Why are we fighting? What is the big deal? Ideological view? We can squash that. But the adaptation or adoption of a nation's that's contrary view to ours, and us accepting that, would unhinge our communities. It would unhinge our way of life, the reason why we exist, pretty much. And a lot of this, once again, is related to why do we build the society in the first place? It's commonly known and commonly said that society was built for women and children, right? So 50% of that existence are women, if not more. I don't know the numbers, In most societies, I would think that is pretty level, right? But nonetheless, a large portion of the society is women, and we're protecting them. Why? We're protecting them because these are the women that we procreate with, that we have sex with. A nation comes from a woman's womb. We will fight and defend that. We will protect that. But it is not her necessarily who dictates what that nation will be. It's men who dictate that. But how do men get to dictate what that nation will be with specific women? We put rules in place. We put all these things in place, right? We put all these superficial structures up. And I don't mean superficial as they're not that deep or important, but I mean it in the sense of this is what we see, you know, as far as the laws, as far as the safety services and medical services, et cetera, et cetera. We can see these things. But more underlyingly, it's because we are the ones who actually, well, we're supposed to be the ones anyways. We're choosing what women we have sex with and which ones we will not. The ones who do not fit the criteria of what we believe a nation should be that comes out of her, meaning that she is saying that I don't agree with that nation. She gets ostracized and kicked out of the group. But it's backwards in the Black community. It's not that way at all. We are procreating with the women who have no set aside purpose in regards to rules of what our expectations are for these women. They barely know what to do when they come in. Just like once again, BGS said, the men, Black men, are made to serve the women sexually. They are the ones who are creating the rules by proxy. You understand? And how it pertains to me. I require that a woman meets a certain criteria before I even have sex with her. And I make it very clear that I'm monitoring what that criteria is when it's met. And I necessarily won't tell her many times. I'll tell her a baseline generality of what my expectations are. Most women can't handle that, especially when they come to Black men. Now, get it. Check this out. If I were a white man saying what my criteria was for a woman that I wanted to procreate with or have sex with, women would get in line with that. How do I know? Because we see it. We see it every day. We see it in the society. We often talk about how Black women behave very differently with white men. Why? Because even though they don't know exactly what to do as far as how to assess and access a white man, they're going to try their hardest to meet his pleasure. Why? Because he came out the gate with rules. They know that they can't behave a certain way. They know that they can't do certain things because this is socially structured in their culture. They set the tone before the tone was even thought about. You get that? They told the women what their expectations were, if not by their actions, if not by words, and what they have for women. Many times when I deal with women, I ran into a lot of women that said, I cannot do that. There's going to be another video that I'm going to make. And I'm going to pretty much put another video in the video, but it's from Mr. Let Go. I'm sure you probably heard of him, but it's something that I've said before, but I want to update that logic again. And I want to make it more current because now he's saying it, but he's saying it in a much different way that touches on some aspects that I didn't discuss at one point. But I don't want to make this video too long. I may make a part 2 to this, but we'll see. But when I come in with rules, a lot of women says, I can't do that, or I'm not going to do that, or they just completely ghost. Why? Because they came in with the expectation that I was there to please them. When you set rules, that sends the message directly to women that You are not there for them in regards to their pleasure. You understand that? If you do not set rules, if you just play it by ear, this is the reason why they love black men, no matter where you go, because we have a reputation of acceptance. We have no reputation of rules. You get where I'm going with that? You get what I'm saying? But it's on us. It's on us to make that difference. It's on us to recognize that is exactly what's going on. And that's the reason why black men get treated the way they do by women, whether it be good or bad. For instance, I made a video not too long ago. Well, it was long ago. It was one that BGS reposted and it got a couple views on it and people were buzzing about it. And it became mainstream topics. The 2 types of hypergamy. 2 types of hypergamy. I noted in that video that when white women are looking for sexual pleasure when they come to black men, they're looking for sexual gratification. When black women go to white men, they're looking for monetary provision. In many cases, they say, oh yes, this white man, he's so sweet to me, he's so nice to me, he's so caring, he shows his affection. No, he's just putting the bill. He's being very benevolent with his money. Because with that comes his rules. Doesn't matter. They have an expectation from white men. They have an expectation for black men. And a lot of this, again, is cultural. Because black men, for the longest time, have made it a culture that we are here to please women. Hell, you even go back to the slave days, if you will. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but this is a niche society that many people don't know about, and they think that it may be fake, but I'm here to tell you that it is very real. White men will seek out, or white women will seek out in a relationship. They're already in a relationship. They will seek out black men for sex. Specifically, nothing else, nothing less. Sex. And they will film this. The white man will be filming this. This may sound crazy, but they will film this. And they will watch it over and over again. They will look for new experiences with this and new endeavors with this. They're not seeking black men for anything. They're not seeking black men for leadership. They're not seeking black men for protection. They're not seeking black men for anything really other than sex. And black men may look at this as a positive. But look at where we are in the sociological viewpoint of how people see us. Do you really want to be just considered only good for sex? I mean, sure, yes, it's gratifying, but what does that mean for your home structure when you want to have children? What does that mean for your, how can I put it? Your respect. What does that mean for all these things that are important, that are very necessary for men to exist in a relationship, if all that you're expected to be is just sex and everything else is supposed to be taken care of by the partner? In many cases, if you're dealing with a black woman, she wants to be in charge. She wants to handle the money. She wants to take the kids. She wants to do all these things. Why? Because she views you as nothing but sex. And it may sound messed up, but I may get some pushback on this. You know what I mean? It may be some people out. I mean, but really, when any woman thinks of a black man, they say, if he ain't good for nothing, we know he's good for one thing. Is that the reputation that you want to perpetuate? But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. I got to get to class. I got stuff to do. I just want to get this thought out. But anyways, until next time, this has been the Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day, and peace be with you.